sometimes I'm just a sucker for machines. So I bought a 445. Don't know why. Local person local guy sent me a text message, asked if I was interested in buying it. He needed to buy some stuff for me. So I came out of pocket a little bit. He bought some parts for me, and I bought this 445. I'm guessing he probably picked it up from a Deere dealer somewhere. It was on their back lot. He sold it to me as needing a coil. Maybe. I highly doubt it just needs a coil. And I'm not saying anything about buying it. Like, in other words, I have no problem buying it from him with him saying it just needs a coil. I'm not placing blame on anybody. But typically, if machines just need a coil, they need lots of other things as well, as we can see from this one. I'm actually going to close. Oh, this door's not blocking any light. So, got it back in the shop because normally I would do this outside, but it's already mostly dark outside. So the best I can surmise, this is a 1998 445. The radiator was 8.3 of 98. So maybe it has a steel cam gear. It does have 1,048 hours on it. About all the normal problems that you have with a 455. Side panels are pretty much toast, as you can see here. So we'll walk around it and I'll tell you what I see. I bought it straight off pictures. He said it was running on one cylinder, needed a coil. So I'll tell you what I'm looking at right here. I see a 455, got a 60-inch deck on it. That's obviously a good thing. The nice thing with the 450 or the 445, sorry, I'm probably going to mess those numbers up quite a bit. So the 445 has the 20 horsepower or the 22 horsepower Kawasaki fuel injected engine compared to the 425 20 horsepower Kawasaki carbureted engine. It also came with outlets for the hydraulic valve. It's got the 60-inch deck, which is a plus. Probably one of the best decks that Deere made, aside from the 7-iron for a garden tractor, in terms of strength, longevity, and cut quality. Obviously, it's been sitting outside. I see lots of just wear, so you can see wear right there, and then just lots of oxidation on the hood that may or may not buff out. I don't know. It's missing the deck shield or the chute over here. So a couple of things that I just see walking around it. Positives: it has the metal valve covers. Originally these engines came with plastic valve covers that leaked quite a bit, so that is a good sign. To confirm it is a 445, since the serial tag is more or less gone. One of the things you can do is you can look at the tires. 1994 and later 445s came with 26-inch rears, and they came with the larger front tires, the 10.5s versus the 8.5s. And then also it has this high pressure fuel line right here that confirms the fuel injection. That is one of the things ways you can tell these machines apart from the 425. Other than that, they are pretty identical. Let's look under the hood real quick. So we've obviously got busted plastic there. The grill is busted right here. We're missing the amber sides on the grill. We'll open the hood up. See what we see in here. Confirming the 22 horsepower electronic fuel injected. We have the electronic fuel injected cover, that module that sits in there. It's right there. Our typical dash that is nice and grungy because dirt and everything have gotten underneath it. You can clean that out. Haven't checked the oil or anything else on it. Looks nice and faded. Looks like it sat outside for a while based on the mold back here. We're missing a tail light. No 3-point, no rear PTO. It also is a 455 or 445 based on the seat type and the seat base. 425s had a little bit different seat base compared to the 445 and 455. Looks like, oh hey, here's the old light in there. Deck, it's a later deck because it's got the plastic covers on it. No earthly idea if the deck can engage or disengage. Once again, it looks like it sat outside based on the oxidation around the light switch, things along those lines. Now, like I said, he sold it to me as running on one cylinder. So let's, now obviously I have indeed run it to get it in the shop, but I'll let you hear it. Sounds like it running on one cylinder. See if the throttle's up. So it's running on one cylinder. I happen to know it's the cylinder on the other side that is the one that is not running. So what we're going to do is, if it's supposedly a simple coil, we're going to replace the coil. So I'm going to get the camera set up, and we'll replace that coil real quick. All you need is another coil and an 8mm wrench. All right, so like I said, you need an 8mm wrench to take this coil off. You don't drop the wrench. But take this coil off, obviously you just pull the spark plug cap. Now what I am noticing is there's some oil around the spark plug. So then you just take, which we'll come back to in a little bit. Now you should just be able to loosen those up, and then you just unthread the rest of the bolt. Should be pretty easy to replace coils. I don't know how much coils are. The coil I have is a known good coil that came off of another 445 that I parted out. It just was not worth saving. Came with a crappy 54-inch deck, and just all rusted and everything. Just was not worth. The machine itself had 2,000 some odd hours on it. Just wasn't a good candidate for pretty much anything. So pull this coil out. It is connected to 2 wires. So these 2 wires run to the engine. One spade, if you look on this coil, you can see that one spade is thicker than the other, so you can't get them backwards. So you undo those wires. Like I said, the nice thing is you can't get the wires backwards because the spades are different widths. Now, sometimes somebody will go in and replace those spades and present some problems for later individuals. And we'll go ahead and put the coil, our new replacement coil. Like I said, it's just a known good coil. And the purpose of this video, and the reason I'm making it, and not just putting this machine in the corner to do something with later in the spring. And one of the reasons I bought this machine, so many times I have people that, want to buy a project machine from me, which is perfectly fine. I mean, if you want to buy a project machine, go for it. But project machines typically end up costing the same, if not more money, than a nice used machine. And hopefully this one is a nice, or it will be a nice used machine that we're going to demonstrate that purpose on. Now, my 455 that I use around here, that's very similar. I can't remember if I've gone over the numbers for that before, but typically a 455 is going to run you about $3,000. Well, I paid $1,500 for my 455, but then I proceeded to invest an additional $1,700 in all the repairs. Between new panels and everything else. I'm guessing this machine is going to be the same way. So we've got the new coil in there, or our good used coil. Now let's see if it runs a little bit better. Walk over the same side. That way you can hear the engine run a little bit better, or same as before. It's slightly better. Hopefully you can hear that. So let's make sure our coils are good. We'll just pull one spark plug at a time. This is where I shock myself normally. So that coil's good. That coil's good. So, and it still runs like crap. So what does that tell us? It tells us we got some other problems, right? At least I think it does. So what I did notice when I pulled that other coil, we'll pull them again. So the very interesting thing that occurs there is when I pull the coils or the spark plugs or spark plug wires, it's a very different change. So let's do that again. So it automatically idles right down and just right? Let's go to the other side one more time. Interesting, right? So there's another issue, and I just don't know what that is. Let's see if it throttles up. So I see some white smoke. Okay, there's some smoke coming off the muffler right here. Look at that. No, that's real nice. So let's see here. It just started blowing a whole lot of oil. That's not good, right? So I don't know if you could tell this, but in there you could actually see the oil down in the bottom of the spark plug opening boiling. And I hear something hissing. I don't know what it is. So let's pull the spark plugs and see what we get. All right, I'm going to see if I can catch this on camera. I think we've solved our problem. Maybe. I want you to look in the as I turn this engine over. Well, I wet the camera. So that's just straight fuel coming out of there. So it's probably a fuel problem. Well, the only problem with that is how long has it been that way? And so it's gone from a simple coil problem to a much larger issue. Now, I have the option of, or if you owned this machine, you would have the option of, okay, do we want to just figure out the fuel problem and then go from there? Or do we want to try to figure out what may be causing the fuel problem and if the fuel problem has caused other problems? If that makes any sense. So you could either fix the fuel problem, but you don't know what caused it in the first place. So I could just empty the cylinder out, try again. Or I can figure out what caused the problem and then also at the same time figure out what damage all that fuel in the cylinder has done. I would suspect it has done quite a bit. That's probably one of the key reasons that it's running so poorly. My guess is this cylinder right here has been sufficiently washed down to where it is probably needs to be honed. That's my guess. And I would also suspect that if I'll set the camera up right here for just a second. We'll angle it down. And if we check the oil, my guess is it's overfull in oil, which indeed it is. And when you smell the oil, which I just got it all over my nose as I smelled it, the oil smells of gas. So it has been that way for quite a while. So what do? I don't know. Now that I've got gas all over the camera, all over the front of it and everything. So all of a sudden, our cheap, quote unquote, 445 has become somewhat of a time sink and has become an issue. So let's do the math. Let's say I paid $1,200 for this. And so I've got $1,200 into it as it sits. But at minimum, we have to spend probably 3 or 4 hours figuring out, taking everything off the top of the engine, looking at the valves, seeing if there's is it just a spark issue? Do we want to try to run it again? Do we need to test compression? What do we need to do? Then we got 2 side panels. We got to get it cleaned up. We need a seat. We got to purchase, and the tires are absolute junk. If you look, they're all kind of weather checked because it sat outside for so long. So it needs 4 new tires, which are not cheap. So all of a sudden, our $1,200 machine is now close to a $2,200, $2,300 machine. So that is a concern. So what I want to do, we're going to stop the video there. I'm going to do a little bit of investigation on my own, just kind of working through some things, and I'll come back once I've done some of that investigation, and we'll figure out how we're going to proceed with this machine. If it's even worth, if you purchase this machine, would you want to sell it whole just for what you got in it, or would you want to try to fix it, or what do you want to do? Do you want to try to use it? So we'll get into that in the next video. So thanks for watching. All right, just a quick addendum to the video. So I played around some. I did what I first suggested. The easy way out. I went ahead, dried out the cylinders, basically took all the spark plugs out, spun all the cylinders over, and basically cleaned out the cylinders and everything. So the cylinders should have been good to go. Went ahead and put the spark plugs back in, cranked it up, and did the same thing as before. And I think if we pull this open again, you can see, I'll go ahead and pull this spark plug out again. Yep, and our cylinder is you can't see it, but I can tell it based on the light. Our cylinder is once again full of fuel. So we have a fuel problem, either in a stuck injector or something else. Don't know what it is, so we're gonna have to figure it out. That's basically, we can't solve it the easy way. We gotta go the long way. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.